now I would like to get a bit into the working or inner work Enneagram, as I call it, which is the principles that are operating when we start the process of inner transformation. And you will find a perfect correlation between the taste of each point and baseline understanding, for instance. This will give you the key to understand even the personality types that we will see in the second part. But if you notice, you can't start any work, or you cannot even see the truth if you don't have love in yourself. So the beginning always is love. And this is why we use it as the apex. There are three main virtues: love, hope, and faith, which would be the main triad, the main force.
Right.
Then obviously we can have wisdom, we can have knowledge, we can have understanding, but if you don't really have love, you have nothing. I think.
Yeah, I think I heard that said before somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's Paul.
I think the master might have said that.
That's in the letters of Paul.
Well, that's in the if I don't have, I could recite all the words of wisdom and understanding, but if I have love, if I have not love, I'm a clanging gong. Yeah, and no, right there, that first with the love and the first contact with truth, and I just been having this this realization of this unveiling of truth, and it was just, to me, like, because I heard it said, we're called to be a witness, to witness, and then what does a true witness do? A true witness testifies to the truth. A good witness testifies to the truth, so it was just like, to me, it was a simple unveiling, but very, very deep.
That word witness is usually expressed in the Greek translations of the New Testament as martyros, something which in our language has another connotation, because a martyr is someone that dies for a cause, but that wasn't the meaning implied in that teaching. Obviously, if you are a witness of the truth, you don't mind even being physically killed. So many died in that process. But the true martyr, or martyros, is the one that testifies for the truth and communicates the truth. So your first contact with the truth is longing to know yourself deeply and share yourself fully, giving out your gifts. So for that, you need the first steps in self-study. We cannot unfold ourselves fully if we don't start moving through the ladder of inner growth, which would be the law of 7. And the law of 7 in our study has a particular taste as we progress, because you can begin with self-study, analyzing things from an intellectual point of view, but sooner or later you have to reach the second point, which is the awareness of others. You have to work in communion with those who are in the same boat, because you can find yourself mirrored in others. You can expand your mind with other perspectives. You can feel supported or bring community or sense of family working with others, not just in isolation, because that leads to solipsism, narcissism, to enclose within narrow views. And you cannot develop mercy or true knowledge if you don't see others and how you react with others. So we have to be aware of obstacles with the world, with others. And this is the energy 2. This is why in base 9, the 2 is the conscious assistant. In personality types, the personality will be the helper, because we cannot help ourselves if we don't help others. Then in the first steps, we are opening the way, but we have to understand that the paths leading to the true way of life are not safe. So nothing is fully done or fully complete until we get into the full way. But it requires inner work before we get to that stage. So this is why the process of inner discovery and inner growth is compared to a ladder that leads to the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. But before we get to that way, we need to prepare the ground. And this is why we follow certain dynamics. And sooner or later, we will find this point 3. Here, the energy tends to deviate. And most people that get into contact with these teachings will get tired because they don't see the connection between this and their life. So the octave deviates. They cannot advance towards the 4th point. So we need an external or additional force, which is hope. We come from love, then we find hope. But hope implies compromise, impulse towards the aim, because you keep working, focus on your main aim that comes from the Holy One, as we said. And this is not possible without self-remembering. You have to remember who you are. But self-remembering is a specific state of awareness. If you notice in the previous sitting that we did last week, we got into that state of self-remembering. In a way, we have to quiet our inner world by means of intense observation and attention, watching as if we were the witnesses of our body, our emotions, our mental state. If we are able to watch all that fully, then we are in the process of self-remembering, because we can watch whether there are contradictions or not in our attitude, in our way of feeling, in our thoughts. If we move deeper, we won't see contradictions. We will see some serenity. And there is a feeling of, I need to grow more in this state. The problem is that challenges in life bring us to states of the truth or the test of life. No, this is this whole process of crossing. When you start becoming aware of your hope, your consciousness, and aim to work on yourself to give the best spiritual essence that you have, then you will find glimpses of growth, but also glimpses of struggle, challenge, which is the 5th point. So in the 4th, we keep working on ourselves. In base 9, analysis is the conscious worker. And you can have a certain presence, but it's a mistake to confuse that presence with absolute development. This is why it's also possible to fall backwards. If you conform yourself with those glimpses of growth, presence, you might find some easiness and liberation in conventional ways of mindfulness or meditation, relaxation, and believe you are enlightened when there is a whole process. You are not even in the middle. To get in the middle, you must get into challenges, into struggles, where you see your hidden selfishness, vanity, how there are forces which are not human, and in a sense work through our unconscious to destroy the whole land. They are ancestral forces. They are known as the energy of the serpent. And to face those energies sometimes is heavy stuff because they hit very strongly. This is why we need a science to understand these negative forces. We will see all that mirrored in the Enneagram as well, because there are biases or passions that fall within each one of the steps of the Enneagram. The main one would be laziness. Actually, there is a very interesting way of memorizing the biases in ourselves. No? This is one of the additions or contributions of a man called Ichazo, who was the teacher that brought the ideas about the personalities. And if you see, he gave a sort of concept for each sphere. The ego in would be the ego indolent or indolence. Then the point one would be ego resent, because resentment is the passion in that first point. Ego flattery could be the vice of the helper. Then ego go or ego goal is the passion of the personality type 3, because we can find goals or aims, but if we have a certain egoism infused into those goals, then we will fail. The fourth is ego melancholic. And ego stinge is the one that does not share. He wants to be detached from others, but that's why he finds himself in isolation or in a struggle with the world. You notice that there is a coherence between baseline analysis, these personality configurations, and the essence of the Enneagram. So it's very simple. It's always the same, but from different points of view.
Right.
In the 6th point, we would be seeing the cowardice. Some types are more coward than others. Then the ego plan, the planifier, because he wants to make plan to get rid of pain. He wants pleasure. Then the ego vengeance is the vice of the justice maker, the 8. In Christianity, it would be indolence, or when someone is very lazy. It's the most important because it's the beginning of all the rest. Laziness and sloth is the beginning. Then rage would be point 1. The pride or a certain manifestation of the pride would be the 2nd. The 3rd would be vanity. The 4th would be envy. The 5th would be stinginess or avarice.
Greed.
Greed, exactly. Then the 6th would be fear or cowardice. Because you can have fear, but cowardice is not doing what you have to do when you have to do it, because you fear to lose money or your integrity. Integrity in the sense of being attacked, your inner being. Here would be gluttony or lacking temperance, and here it would be lust. So if you notice, the main capital passions are within the Enneagram, and we need to take them into consideration when we are in a process of inner work. So when we see this configuration, we can sense all those passions within, but each one of us is going to have a main tendency towards one because our personality is different. So that's what we will have to see when we study the personality types. And those will be our struggles, our challenges, our disharmonias. And if you remember, between Sol or G and La or A, there is an interval, which is how we begin to work on this disharmonia. Because as we saw, we can get to this point and start working rather easily on ourselves with the right information. But once we get here, we see there is a lack of unity. This is why we can also understand the work in terms of human number 1, human number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, so on. The number 1 would be the physical man or the physical human, humus, someone that is led by his sight, what he sees physically, or his body. Some people are more physical than others. If they are physical, they have to work the mind and the emotions. But others are more emotional. Those are humans type 2. And they tend to feel emotional dependency, or they want to be recognized. They feel very hard when others don't recognize them. And then there are other people who are more intellectual, and they experience all sorts of self-deception because of their mind, their intellect. The more intelligent they are from an intellectual point of view, the more silly they are because they are easier to deceive. Now, when we get to human number 4, is when we start uniting mind, heart, and body. We have a perfect reconciliation of mind, emotion, body work, but not in a finished way. It's more in a compromise, which we already accepted because we come from the hope. Now, when we start struggling, not against, but to affirm ourselves before our passions, then we can open ourselves to the faith, to the true confidence, because we open ourselves to that which is beyond our ordinary self. So we can be reconciled. And we need courage. So we fight fear with courage, or cowardice with courage, and elevation that implies more than our personality, human personality. And this leads to the bliss of the deeper self. This is the point 7, which in the personality types, remember, is the planifier, because he wants to escape pain. So he makes plans for his vacations, holidays, or ways to enjoy a day. But from a spiritual point of view, we are looking for our bliss, our fullness. And well, the human type 7 would be someone who has crossed all the planets in the solar system and is even beyond the sun, can go beyond the sun. The man number 5 is the one that is unified. He has personality which is not easily malleable. He has a name. He knows where his work is, and he continues. If he becomes a man number 6, it means he already has the mental body. So he can even receive the influences from the sun and be elevated towards the man number 7. I think the Buddha and Pythagoras would be this range in terms of the cosmic man typology. Because when Master Ishu came, he was an 8 man, man number 8, and he became a man number 9 because he fused with the fire.
Amen.
So he reached very high development at 21 years of age. And at 33, I think he was already man number 9. But between 21 and 30, he was number 8. Pythagoras was man number 6. The Buddha was man number 7, probably. Man number 5 is maybe St. Francis of Assisi. He was a religious man with his convictions, but he had a unified personality in terms of certain impulses. He requires more development, obviously, but he obviously was a man that struggled against certain passions. But he came to be a lover of the animals, a lover of others, so he developed mercy in himself. He was someone with a unified personality, a unified aim, and this is why he came to be known within Christianity. Or Master Eckhart. Well, Master Eckhart maybe was a bit deeper. He was very connected to the sense of unity. He was probably a man number 6. Most of the people who start working come from these points, from human, number 1, number 2, number 3, physical, emotional, or intellectual. Then when we start unifying and we start seeing things from the 3 points of view, we become the man number 4. Now, suppose you have an accident and you didn't even establish a good personality to overcome your struggles and challenges. If you are here, then you are given the possibility to repeat your life with some facility because you have been working. So it will be easier for you to find this teaching. But if you are just in these points, you can easily lose the possibility to grow. So it's a miracle to be here already.
Yes.
And if you start knowing your aims and your unified personality, then you can establish yourself as a human or man number 5. I think 5 is the point in which someone can strictly be called man with capitals, because man is not the same as human. Human is humus. We are working still on our humus. So humanity mostly falls within 1, 2, 3 personality types from the point of view of the cosmic typology. And then we start to become real mankind in the number 4. But we need glimpses of our struggles to experience the faith, the conviction, reconciliation, the deep self. And finally, in the work, we have glimpses of transcendence, a duality. I don't want to call it non-duality because non-duality implies you are denying the duality. And we are not denying anything. We are experiencing duality, tension, friction, because that's the second force of the universe. But open ourselves to transcendence. And glimpses of transcendence are glimpses of the truth. You will see how that relates to the 8th point. In the Enneagram is Or. Or is the splendor of truth. That's the 8th sphere. It's amazing, the correlation when you explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Mind blown right now. And I'm just making all these correlations in my head where you could see like the tree of life there, you know, but you're still lacking something, you know, you're still lacking some things even to that point. and then you get to where you the first glimpses of growth and presence, and then you and sense you double that, and you get the glimpse of a duality.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like, and then when you cross that threshold there of the first glimpse into the struggle, and then that's the nine, and that's the love right there. That's the love looking at itself and with the first glimpse of itself, and then it just realized itself, in the mirror, so to say. But yeah, there's a lot.
That's when this apex touches this point, this middle point, and you get the famous Star of David, which is the Merkaba.
I see it in there.
That's how it starts growing.
Right.
So the Star of David would be even within the Enneagram. And that connection you establish, summing up 1, 2, 3, 4, getting 10, is you are still in the world of incompleteness.
Right.
And you can only start feeling the fullness as you cross the threshold, overcoming challenges and struggles. Because you feel satisfaction when you overcome an inner negativity, fear, distress, inertia, then you feel an influx of an energy that elevates you. This is
absolutely
the crossing. That's what feeds your conviction, your faith. You don't believe blindly in the divine. No, it's real.
Right. Yeah. I could see that. Going back to the Star of David, maybe that's like kind of how they they hid the symbols kind of so they didn't get associated with a certain group or certain people. I mean, that's just the Star of David would just be another point of view of the Enneagram kind of.
Yes. The Star of David was also known as Magen David. Magen is shield, because it's a protection. So our shield is our energy field. As we grow in energy, we build up this protection.
Well, how they say too, put on the whole armor.
Exactly.
But really, is it armor or is it a more? Put on the whole love,
Yes.
And I could see the Enneagram. It looks like a helmet to me. Like it looks like you could put it on, and that would be the helmet of the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Even in the Torah, it is said that the Tetragrammaton is Shamas and Magen, sun and shield, because we have to protect also ourselves against the radiations, not only from the sun, but also from other planets, which are negative radiation. This is why we have the 12 inner points that, in a sense, are representing the angles of energy.
Wow.
It's not the constellations what are affecting us. It's the 12 angles from which we get the 12 energies.
Yeah.
From the 12 months.
How they say when you're in a predicament, so to say, they get you from every angle.
Exactly.
That's an old saying. Like they hit you from every angle.
Until we don't know every angle, we have blind spots.
There it is. Wow, that's crazy, ain't it?
This is the whole mission of the Enneagram study, is to eliminate those blind spots, to bring awareness.
Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And I think for today is too much information already.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
and we can continue the following week.
Yeah. Yes.
Any question from what we have seen?
Yeah. Not to get into a whole other conversation, but when Adam came from the absolute, he came out of emanated from the absolute. Would you say?
The primordial Adam?
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yes.
that's our deeper self, so to say, and it
Right.
contains all the harmonics of life.